Okay guys, so a couple of weeks ago, I introduced to you guys the ultimate bait finesse rod on the planet, the Queen Teton, TTC. And the reason I say it's the ultimate bait finesse rod on the planet, it's because of these really radical lure ratings. Now the low end is supposed to be 0.3 grams. So just to give you guys an idea, a 64th of an ounce is heavier than 0.3 grams. And the high end on this rod is supposed to be 3 grams. So not even an eighth of an ounce. So when I saw this rod, it kind of reignited my drive to create the ultimate bait finesse combo. Now just a quick update on this rod. I know a lot of you guys were disappointed that these rods sold out and they weren't available on AliExpress. Now I did speak briefly with Queen on Instagram, and I told them that a lot of people who watch my videos were looking to buy this rod and when would they be for sale again. And the response was that they're still for sale, but you have to order them, I guess, straight from Queen, China. So if you're really wanting this rod, contact them and see where, how much you can buy them for. But I do know this, once I release the video on this rod, the prices went up like dramatically. Even though they're not for sale on AliExpress, they went up by a good 30 bucks. But that's still a bargain considering what this rod can do. So the goal was to be able to cast this 1 gram trout magnet a fishable distance. And where I fish for trout is below the base of this huge dam. And when the water is not being spilled out, it's very wadeable and it's really good trout fishing. And the trout magnet is the go-to lure when it comes to artificial lures at this particular area. So that's why I wanted to be able to throw this trout magnet a good fishable distance with good castability. Now to me, fishable distance for a lure this light, realistically, I'd say 10 yards or 30 feet. So to test this rod out, I enlisted the ultimate stock bait finesse reel that's got the lightest stock bait finesse spool, and that's the GARCIA REVO LTX BF8. It's got the lightest stock spool out of any stock bait caster at 6.3 grams without the bearing. And to be honest, when I first tried it out, I was expecting a total failure based on previous attempts, but the reel actually did a great job, and it did meet and exceed the goals a lot better than I expected. But I think I can actually do better than the REVO LTX. So enter the 2016 Shimano Aldebaran BFS XG. And this is the platform that I'm going to make the ultimate bait finesse reel to match up with that ultimate bait finesse rod. So the reason I chose the Aldebaran was for two reasons. The first reason was that it's got the FTB brake system, the Shimano Finesse Tune brake, which I believe is the best magnetic brake system for bait finesse. And that played a huge role. And then the second reason was the aftermarket spools. Now the stock spool on the Aldebaran is about 1 gram heavier than the stock spool on the REVO. The Aldebaran has a 7.2 gram spool without a bearing, and this has a 6.3 gram. So it wasn't because of the stock performance of the Aldebaran. It was the reason of I needed to go aftermarket to be able to get any kind of performance gain throwing that trout magnet. Now there are aftermarket spools for the REVO, but the lightest one I could find didn't offer any kind of real tangible weight loss. I believe they just came out with a new one from Avail that only offered a 0.2 gram weight saving, so that was virtually nothing. Plus, these brakes. The FTB system is better. And I was also looking for aftermarket spools for the SS Air, which has the air brake system, which should be great for these ultralight lures. But I couldn't find any aftermarket spool options for the SS Air, surprisingly, since this is basically an aftermarket spool from the factory made by KTF. So that led me to the Aldebaran. And it led me to this spool right here, which I've previewed to you guys already. The Avail 16 ALD 15R. Now, according to Avail, this spool is supposed to only weigh 4.9 grams. But we'll find out on the scale. So yeah, let's pull that scale out and see if Avail is telling the truth or not. Okay guys, so I got everything pulled out. First thing we're gonna do is gonna pull this spool out of the packaging. And this spool, I believe, costed $108, which is actually surprisingly cheap. I thought it would be a lot more. But I'm kind of disappointed they didn't include it in, you know, some kind of hard plastic shell covering. So just feeling this thing, it feels like it's wafer thin. You can see inside it's super ported. It does come with a bearing, this super tiny little spool bearing there. Alright, I'm going to be very gentle with that spool. Alright, so the stock spool is 7.7 with the bearing. Now I've seen guys on YouTube from Japan take the spool bearing off and weigh this, and it's 7.2 grams without the bearing. And that's according to Shimano as well. Alright, so let's see what this Avail spool weighs. Oh shit, 4.8 grams with this tiny bearing. Let's see that again. That is, yep, right around 4.8 grams. That is insane. So without the bearing, this thing is approaching close to 4 grams of rotational mass. And I'm looking at the bearing sizes. They look to be about the same. And the crazy thing is you don't see any kind of porting on here. It's like they can even, you know, port this thing and lose even more weight. So that's unreal. Now, one big reason why this is so light, other than the super duralumin they use, is the spool shaft is now aluminum instead of stainless steel, like it is on the Aldebaran stock spool. So 4.8 grams, I think this thing will do just fine. Okay guys, so let's see if this thing, how it fits into this Aldebaran. Alright, let's get it in there, see if the bearing will sit. So far so good. Alright, there we go. And of course I chose Shimano Champagne Gold to match up with the reel. Yep, it's spinning okay. What do I have my brakes setting on? Let's see here. I'm going to turn the brakes down to their minimum setting. And see if that spool tension, I'm going to loosen it up. Okay, so let's see. Spinning pretty good. Now, if you can see, the Shimano stock spool for the Aldebaran is super shallow, But this thing is probably half as shallow. And I'm going to try to pull this out without damaging the spool. There we go. So not only is this thing much lighter, it's going to hold probably half as much line, as you can see there. So just to let you guys know, when you're looking at Avail spools, the way that they name these, the 16 stands for 2016, ALD is Aldebaran, and the 15 stands for how many millimeters the spool is depth-wise. So 15 stands for 1.5, as you can see there. So that's how you read these numbers and meanings for these Avail spools. So this is going to hold just a ridiculously small amount of line already, in conjunction with its super light weight. So I'm really excited to test this out, but it doesn't end there. Now you would think just pop this spool in and you're ready to go fishing, but actually it takes a lot more than that to make the ultimate BFS reel. Okay, so because of the nature of how Shimano's FTB system works, which I've explained several times already, Avail recommends that you get these extra magnets to go with it. So when putting all the pieces together, I ordered a bunch of different parts, and let me show you what I ordered. The first thing I ordered were these right here. Air bearings from Hedgehog Studios. And then I ordered this. And this is an extra side plate for the Aldebaran. So now I got two side plates, and disappointingly one of the magnets is gone. It didn't come with the extra magnets, so I'm gonna have to scavenge them from the regular side plate that came with the reel. And then I bought this. These are extra magnets, and how they work is they go on top of the existing stock magnets. And the reason being because the spool depth is so shallow, the distance between the metal and the actual magnets has increased. So you need that the extra magnets to create that magnetic force. Okay, so I'm gonna put these together and then show you guys the finished product. Okay guys, so just to let you know, these Air BFS bearings from Hedgehog Studios were for a different reel. I think they were for the previous Aldebaran. But according to Hedgehog Studios, I really only need to replace the spool bearing that's on the palm side plate. So I believe one of these hopefully will fit, because these are the ones with the micro balls. Now the one on the spool, I guess it's so small that there's really no need to replace it. But yeah, let's see how this goes. Now according to Avail, all you have to do is take out that little clip and then pull the bearing out. You don't actually have to take this off. And I've tried a couple of times. This is going to be a challenge. So let's see if I can do it. It's a square clip there. This is going to be a pain with these tweezers. Okay guys, so I was finally able to get that little C-clip out. It's so small you can barely see it in the tweezers there. I'm gonna lay that to the side, I don't want to lose it. Let's see if we can get this bearing out. That's gonna be tough. Let's see if I have a Q-tip lying around. Okay, no Q-tip needed, the thing just fell out. And as you can see, because it's got this dark gray coating, it's that really good Shimano anti-rust JDM bearing, which is to be expected. So I believe I'm supposed to replace it with this tiny bearing, which I believe is the 730 size. And it's got this cool red housing, even though you're not going to be able to see it when it's installed, but hopefully let's take a look. They look to be about the same size to me. I think the air bearing looks a little smaller, but let's cross our fingers and hope that it works. As you can see, the one side is open, and I believe that's the side that's going to face up. I'm going to drop that in there. Yep, perfect fit. Alright, let's see if we can get this C-clip back in there without this thing jumping off the tweezers and getting lost and me having to order a new one. Bam, that was easy enough. So now that we got that Hedgehog Air BFS bearing in there, we're going to install the extra magnets. And I'm actually just going to use the same side plate that came with the reel. I'm going to keep the spare side plate as a spare, just in case. So where are those magnets? Here they are. Okay, so according to Hedgehog Studios and Avail, they just lay right on top of the stock magnets. And these magnets are really small. So these are not replacing the stock magnets, they are just laying on top of the stock magnets, and there's a total of 8 of them. Alright, so let me see if I can pull one apart. Now this might be tricky. Okay, so we just popped on. So we just have to do these one by one. Yep, as you can see there's 2 on. Alright guys, as you can see, those magnets are popping out there. They went on with no problem at all. Unlike the Hybo Steed, which was a pain in the ass. Okay, so just a word about the bearings. I looked at the spool bearings, and they look to be the same size as the side plate bearing, but unfortunately Hedgehog doesn't sell the Air BFS bearings separately to where I could order just one by itself. And I don't want to spend another $40 ordering another set of these. So we're just gonna have to go with one air bearing and one whatever bearing this is. Okay, so I don't think it's really gonna matter that much because these bearings are so small that the balls on them are going to be tiny anyway. Alright, there we go. We are all set to go. Okay guys, so here is the finished result. I think I have assembled the ultimate bait finesse combo in the world. And there's a lot of ultimates here. We have the ultimate bait finesse rod for super ultralight lures. We have the ultimate bait finesse reel that has the best bait finesse braking system, magnetic wise at least, hint hint. And we've paired it up with the lightest, shallowest ultimate bait finesse spool. So the next step is of course to take this combo out and see how it casts and actually do some fishing with these trout magnets. to see if this little Frankenstein combo I put together actually works. But unfortunately, where I live, we've been getting massive rain, not only every weekend, but during the week as well. So the water levels around here have not only gone up, they are up past flood level. So where I normally fish for trout is below this huge dam. I'm going to show you guys a little snippet here of where I usually fish for trout. So now with as much rain as we had, that is going to be totally unwadeable, totally unfishable. The water level is probably up 15 feet as they're discharging all this rain. So as soon as I can, I'm going to try to locate some panfish in a creek or a little pond somewhere and see how this combo performs, and also to see how this rod will handle fighting a fish. So be on the lookout for that. Hopefully that'll come out pretty soon. And thanks a lot, guys.